All right, you need to get out your tip chart. We're picking right back up with area. This is going to be number 2 on your tip chart. So number 2 right here is square unit. All right, so for your information, remember this is T, this is your I, and then P was the picture. So for the information, you're going to write a square with side lengths of 1 unit that is used to measure the area of a figure. So we talked about this yesterday, how square unit is just our label, like in our word problems, how we have how many books, how many miles, how many ice cream cones, that's our label. So when we do area, square unit is going to be our label. All right, and then for your picture, you can just draw a square, and then underneath write square unit. So Miss Merritt, if you will pause this video and let them copy this down on number 2 for their tip chart. All right, guys, I hope you've copied that down in your tip chart for number 2. All right, so here's another example problem about area. It says, what is the area of the rectangle? Okay, well, let's go back here. It says, Valerie says you can find the area by counting the unit squares because they totally cover the figure. Curtis says you can multiply the number of units across the bottom times the number of units that go up one side to find the area. Who is correct? Explain how you know. So Valerie says you can find the area by counting the unit squares. That's what we did yesterday. We counted. So that's 4 in that column. So let's count going across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 up top. So some of you may have noticed this yesterday. If you have your rows times your columns, so 4 times 8, if you want to do your song, that's fine. But inside there's 32. So technically Valerie and Curtis are both correct because you can count the individual unit squares, or you can do your length times your width, which is your rows times your columns. So it says, what is the area of the figure? So I know it is 32. And I know it's going to be square. So SQ, that's my abbreviation. And then look at your key down here. It says 1 centimeter. So instead of square units, we're talking about square centimeters. You only use square units if there is not a label. So here we have a label of centimeters. So to me, it would be easier to multiply 4 times 8. You can either multiply 4 times 8 or you can count the individual squares. When we get into really big shapes, it's going to be hard to count those individual squares. So get used to doing the length times the width or rows times columns. So going back to this example, to find the area of this rectangle, if I were to multiply 4 times 3, that would give me 12. Remember, I need square. And then what is your label? It should be centimeters. So that's 12 square centimeters. Remember, area is just the inside. So whatever's green in this rectangle is the area. All right, next example. What is the area of this rectangle? So I have my length times my width, rows times columns. So that was 9 times 6. So we just learned our 9s before Christmas. So that would be 54. Remember, I need square. And then inches is going to be the label, square inches. Okay, here's another example. What is the area of the rectangle? So here your label is centimeters. I can abbreviate that as cm for centimeters. So there's 4 here, and 2 here. And guys, the way they get these numbers, let me get my line out. Okay, if there's 2 rows, this is what they're talking about. Can you see how I'm drawing these? Okay. And then there's going to be 4 columns. So if you were used to counting the individual squares, see how those were taken away and they just give you the measurement. So 4 and 2. So I know 4 times 2 would give me 8. So that's where the rows and columns come in at. So then I can just write 8 square cm for centimeters. And I'm abbreviating square as SQ. If you want to write out square, that's fine. All right, and this example came from Study Island, so it might be a little challenging. It says Monica received a new jewelry box from her aunt. The rectangular lid of the jewelry box is 8 inches long and 5 inches wide. What is the area of the rectangular lid? So here's the lid right here, and this is what they're talking about. Here's the lid of the jewelry box. Okay, it says it's 8 inches long. So if you don't have a picture, guys, you can always draw one. So I just took this lid and kind of moved it here where you can see it. So if this is 8 inches here, I put IN for inches, and 5 inches wide. And I want to find the area on the inside, so I just have to multiply 5 times 8. And that should give you 40 square inches. Don't forget that's square. Okay, so if you don't have a picture, you can draw one. All right, Zach hung a new shelf. The shelf is 10 inches long and 6 inches wide. So here's what's important: 10 inches long, 6 inches wide. So let's go ahead, and there's a picture right there, but I'm going to show you how you can just draw another one. Doesn't have to be perfect. So I have 10 inches here. I'm going to put IN for inches, and 6 inches wide. Okay, if I want to find the area, I know that's the inside. So that's 10 times 6. So 10 times 6 gives me 60 square inches. Don't forget the square inches. That's important because when we get to perimeter, which will be next week, we won't use square. It will just be inches. All right, here's another example. I think this is the last one. Yes. All right, last example. In the design below, there are 30 tiles. Each tile has an area of 1 square centimeter. Which of the following is true about the area of the design? So let's read that again. In the design below, there are 30 tiles. Each tile has an area of 1 square centimeter. Which of the following is true about the area of the design? All right, so I know there's 30. Each tile, here's your label, square centimeters. So it's going to be SQ. Centimeters is CM. All right. So, Miss Merritt, if you will pause this video, guys, I want you to read A, B, C, and D and see which of the following is true about the area. All right, guys, I hope you chose B, because it says the area is equal to 30 square centimeters. It tells you here that there are 30 tiles. So really, you didn't even have to count anything. Could you have counted if you wanted to? Sure, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 here. Let's count the columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I have 6 times 5, I know that is 30. So it would not be less than 30. The area can be found, and it is not more than 30, so it is B. So that's 30 square centimeters. All right, so for your practice, I want you to do practice pages 295, 296. Page numbers at the bottom, 295, 296. Once you finish your practice page, you can let Miss Merritt check it. Or if you're in my second period, you can let Ms. Nobles check it. Then you can get on extra math. Guys, please study your facts every night because we're going to start having facts quizzes soon over all of the facts.